My name is Justin Baker. I'm a pediatrician and an oncologist and a hospice and palliative medicine doctor just down the road here at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. That's right, thank you. I need to share something with you, and I do want you guys to give a big shout out for this. Today, Danny Thomas would have been 106 years old. Without that man, without Danny Thomas and his dream, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital would never have existed. And so I'm so grateful for him and for his dream. And I want to say this, happy birthday, Danny. In my office at St. Jude, I have a placard, and it's a very important thing to me. It's right there on my desk, and it says, Justin Baker, Chief Koala Bear. And I think the resemblance is quite astounding, isn't it? Don't you guys think that? I get to lead our team. It's called the Koala Team, QOLA, Koala, Quality of Life for All. And we meet kids with cancer and other catastrophic illnesses, and we work with their families in some of the most difficult and desperate and trying times you could ever imagine. These families are going through so much. This is a picture of my team. You can tell we take our job very seriously. I'm really good at taking selfies also. The reality is we do take our job very seriously. If dressing up like a koala bear or doing something silly can help just one kid or one family, one iota, man, sign us up. We're going to do that all day long. We're going to do whatever it takes to help every child and every family have the very best day possible. Thinking outside the box, going above and beyond, that's what our team is all about. I do have to ask for some help. Is it okay with you guys if I take off the koala suit? I want to keep going in it, but these hot lights are pretty warm. Is that all right? All right, who wants this? Anybody? That was to distract you as I take off this suit because it's a little bit awkward. So in case you were wondering that if you're going to lose the koala, I'm not losing the koala. Whew, that's much better. Across the United States and at St. Jude, we are able to cure 80% of kids with cancer. What that means is still 20% of these precious kids die. 20%. That's way too many. I told you I'm a pediatric oncologist and I'm a hospice and palliative care doctor. How many in here have heard of palliative care before? How many of you? Okay, a good number. That's great. Well, it's very common that people have not heard about palliative care, and so let me tell you a little bit about it. Palliative comes from the Greek, which means to cloak or to cover. Think of it almost as my costume, coming around our patients and families in love and support. An extra layer, an extra cover, an extra cloak of that. And our patients and families, they really need it. We may be meeting with somebody after they've heard their child has the C word, cancer. I might have to talk to them about the H word, hospice. Or I may even be talking to a child about the D word, death. In times like these, the most important thing, the greatest tool in my toolbox is another C word. It's what I want to focus on my talk today. That C word is compassion. It has tremendous power to heal. I think most of us here in this audience have some idea of what the word compassion means, but I want to take it to a little bit different level. Compassion comes from the Latin. The two parts are cum, which means together or with, and pati, which means to suffer. Cum, pati, to suffer with. Compassion means to suffer with. That's what I get to do on a daily basis with these incredible St. Jude families. I get to suffer with them. From the point of devastating diagnosis, through crises, through ICU stay, through relapse, hopefully on to cure, but frequently on to death. I then continue to work with their bereaved parents, their bereaved families. And I have to tell you, along this trajectory, my most important tool is being able to open my heart, take some of their suffering upon myself, practice that C word, compassion. It really is that simple. and it's every bit as difficult as it sounds. Every day I get to come home to my amazing wife who's here in the audience and my remarkably healthy and wonderful 4 children. And that contrast is not lost on me. I'm so grateful for what these St. Jude kids and families have taught me. They help me to take nothing for granted. They help me be a better dad. They help me be a better husband. They help me be a better person. They have taught me so much. I want to share a couple of those things with you today. They've taught me to not sweat the small stuff. You may have come in and been in an argument with somebody, and I want you to realize in my house, things sometimes do boil up and boil over. But we always have ourselves grounded in the fact that thinking down to that hospital right up the street here, somebody else is going through a really difficult time, a really big issue. These St. Jude families and these patients, they've taught me to live for every moment, to live with no regrets. None of us knows what tomorrow holds. None of us knows what's going to happen. We have to live for every moment, live intentional. I try to be very intentional with my wife, very intentional with my kids. I try to lean into those moments that they are suffering, that they're having a difficult time, and show them that C word, compassion. I try to suffer with them. You know what's beautiful is we as a family have adopted that motto also, this koala motto, being willing to suffer with, being willing to cloak and to cover. Look at them. They look a lot better than me, don't they? When I'm having a bad day, when I'm having a difficult time, my amazing kids, my remarkable wife, they come around me and they cloak and they cover me. If one of the kids down at St. Jude has died and I'm hurting and broken, they come around me. We as a family have a motto. We always want to laugh, we want to love, and we want to live for others. The St. Jude families and kiddos, they've taught me that no matter what, the most important thing is to love. We need to live a life of love. These St. Jude kids have taught me that in the midst of this tremendous suffering, of incredible physical and psychological distress, they're always thinking of others and trying to live their lives for others. As they're approaching their death, they're never thinking of themselves. They're always thinking of someone else. They're thinking of their siblings and are they going to be okay? They're thinking of mom and dad and what will they do without me? They're thinking of what to do with their worldly possessions and who is going to get what. They may even be planning their own funeral so they're not a burden on mom and dad. One such St. Jude kiddo is Ronnie. And Ronnie was a 17-year-old with this really horrific leg tumor. And this tumor was so bad we had to amputate her leg and we had to give her massive doses of chemotherapy. And even though she did everything right, even though we did everything right, that stupid cancer came back. It came back everywhere, all throughout her body, in her lungs, in her bones. It was in her brain. It was everywhere. Ronnie was on the inpatient unit and I came up to see her and I walked into her room and she was vomiting violently, just violently. And it was so uncomfortable. I just wanted to run out of that room. I'm like, oh no, Ronnie, let me go get you some medicine. Let me get you some medicine for the nausea. And she held up a finger as if to say, Dr. Baker, stay with me. And so I went and I remember going and grabbing that green vomit bag with her and putting my hand on her back and sitting on the bed, leaning into the moment, closing my eyes and opening my heart, trying to demonstrate the C word, compassion, even though I'm not able to do anything, trying to take some of that suffering on myself. After what seemed an eternity, I helped her clean off her face and she gathered herself and she told me, Dr. Baker, thank you. Thank you for staying with me. I don't want to take that nausea medicine. It does work, but my brain just can't think straight with it. I get too tired. And Dr. Baker, we've talked about the most important thing to me right now is to finish my book. I want it to be an inspiration for other kids going through similar things. I want to let that sink in. Ronnie was demonstrating that C word, compassion. She was willing to suffer to try to inspire others. She was willing to vomit up her toenails so that she could be an inspiration. I mean, that's incredible, guys. Ronnie could also sing like an angel. And you see here, it says, in memory of the precious angels who have earned their wings in their fight against cancer. This was a CD that she made before she died. Think of that book. Think of this CD. Think of that inscription. She did those things, you guys. She did those things as she was earning her own wings. She was demonstrating the C word. She changed my life. So I want to tell you about her story. After kids like Ronnie and many of the other kids at St. Jude die, their parents are left with a huge gaping wound in their hearts. They just need us to lean into the moment and to help them. They want us to suffer with them, to show them compassion. But it's so common and so frequent that we don't only avoid the subject, but we avoid that person altogether. We as a society have become avoiders. We have to become embracers of these moments instead. We have to be willing to lean in and demonstrate compassion. We have to be willing to go a next step and help people like Ronnie's parents. Help people like our next door neighbor that are suffering with whatever is happening. On a regular basis, I get to work with bereaved parents, and two of them are Kevin and Christine O'Brien. Kevin and Christine are remarkable people. Their daughter, Katie, this is a picture of her. She had a horrific brain tumor. This brain tumor stole from her her ability to speak. But it couldn't contain that smile that lights up a room. It took from her her ability to walk, but it could not contain her huge heart. She's super feisty. She was so feisty. And before she died, she basically put her finger in her parents' face and gave them an edict and said, I don't want any other kid to have to suffer in this way. I don't want any child to have to go through what I'm going through. Mom and Dad, Kevin and Christine, do whatever it takes to support St. Jude. And Kevin and Christine took that to heart. They formed a foundation called Katys Wish. Katys Wish has raised millions of dollars for cancer research. Kevin and Christine said raising money is not enough, and they've given thousands of hours in volunteer support to support bereaved parents, to help us with strategic planning, to help us in our palliative care initiative. Kevin, Christine, and Katie are just three of the amazing people I get to work with on a daily basis. I'm not sure if any of you are thinking this, but I said I get to work with them. And you may be thinking, Dr. Baker, how do you do this work? Or some of you might even be thinking, why do you do this work? I have to tell you, it's an incredible privilege and honor. I literally cannot imagine doing anything else. It's my mission. I truly believe it's why God put me on this planet. And it is such a privilege. I got to share Katie's story at church the other day, and it deeply impacted those who I was sharing it with. And I saw Kevin the next morning, and it was a remarkable scene. I told Kevin, Katie's life, Katie's story continues to impact so many. These people at church, their hearts were changed as they learned from her to live in every moment, to laugh, to love, and to live for others. And as I told him that, he got a big tear in his eye. And he just looked at me and he said, thank you. And I said, Kevin, I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Christine and to Katie and to you for helping me be a better dad, a better husband, a better person. And by now we're both crying. Got these big tears in our eyes. And look, Kevin's a big guy. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a big guy. And so here we are in this moment, these tears leaning in, and these two big guys kind of like, I don't know, should we hug or what do we do? And I'm glad you're laughing because that's definitely what Katie would want you to do. But In that awkward moment, there was silence. There's kind of like, but you know what? It was okay. These tender moments that we're so afraid of, that we try to avoid, they end up being okay. In fact, they are redemptive. They are healing. Kevin knew that in that moment I was showing him the C word, compassion. I was leaning into that moment, willing to suffer with him and help him along his journey. And you know what? He helped me along mine. I know not everyone in here is working with bereaved parents on a daily basis, but every single one of us in here are coming into contact with people who are grieving the loss of something in their lives, or who are hurting, or who are broken. And you know what? I know that first instinct is to what? Is to run away. It's to avoid. Guys, we have got to stomp out that fear. We have got to lean into those moments. We have to not worry about not making things worse. Because as we're contemplating not making things worse and avoiding the situation, we actually are making things worse. By not being vulnerable, by not allowing for that healing to happen, we're stealing an opportunity for healing for ourselves. I have to tell you, the next time you come into contact with somebody who is hurting, who is suffering, I urge you to pause, to listen, to lean into the moment instead of fearfully being taken away from that moment, to open your heart and to imagine taking some of that suffering on yourself. Be fully present. If you need a visual representation, remember the koala team. Remember how we provided that cloak and that covering, that extra layer of support. Imagine yourselves being that. Most importantly, practice the C word, compassion. Be willing to suffer with that person. In closing, I want to urge you to laugh whenever you can, to love exuberantly, and know that in doing so, you're living your lives for others and giving them and yourselves a great gift. Thank you.